how did you get to this point with your mindset regarding culture? Like, where does that come from? Is that something that you were raised with? Is there a moment that made you realize that?
It was something I was born with. And I know that because it was funny. I had my friends that I grew up with when I was from first grade to seventh grade in Edison, New Jersey on a podcast the other day. And we didn't get to some of these things on the podcast, but it got my brain remembering. They were talking about, this is really funny actually, they were talking about the fact that I used to get into fights a lot. So I was like a real like scrapper New Jersey kid, like I'm talking like fights.
Yeah.
And it reminded me that a lot of my fights came from me defending when people picked on people. So I was on like some superhero shit from the get kind of thing, meaning I've always been uncomfortable with people being mean to people. It's what really fucks me up with society right now, because both sides of the political party are fully into that place now. And so the answer to your question is, this is some real shit. I am so uncomfortable when there is tension. I can't even live within it. It's a visceral reaction to me. You know, even if like, you know this, Dustin, even when me and Dustin are traveling, right? If I don't like the way his face looks, I'm like, are you good? Like, it's my natural state. Everything cool? Like, I don't like it. And because I have so much intuitive, like spiritual energy that comes natural to me, I always know. I mean, there's some shit, like some of the stories of employees, you know how some of the 8 and 9 and 10 year employees come and tell you shit like he knows, or this, it's because it's some spooky shit, Isaiah. It's like, I'll be going to the bathroom and I'm like, I don't like the way that felt. And then I'm like, admins, can you get me 15 with that like, so there was no choice. Then, so cool, I gave you that frame up. Now, it gets even weirder. Then I go into working for my dad at 14. So this is my natural state. This is my essence. And then I go into work in my dad's liquor store, and it's a toxic disaster. My dad, who I struggled with for the first 7 or 8 years on this, and maybe even 10 years on this, and maybe even 20 years on this, until I realized that my dad grew up in the Soviet Union where every employee stole everything, and it was so toxic that it formed him. My dad's point of view was that employees were your enemy. My dad's greatest fear, 24/7, 365 in my teenage years, was the employees are stealing.
Right. And I just want to say that, like, congratulate you on the fact that you've established a culture here that genuinely feels like a family only 2 months in with my team, and idea generation and teamwork and everything that goes into the ad business. It's never felt so like pure and genuine, and it comes so easy. So I think you've done a great job at, responding to that.
I appreciate that. And I'll say this for the people on here. And if you don't have it, if that's a 10 and you're sitting right now and you're not in the chat and you're thinking that's not what I have, then that's something I realize is real. We have 1,800 employees. And I'm a human being. I understand how shit works. I'll give you an example. There was something that happened years ago that really stuck with me. Somebody who was an 11 on culture, an 11, out of nowhere, like little smoke started popping up. XYZ made me upset today. XYZ da-da-da. And when I got to the bottom of it, her father was dying from brain cancer. And she brought that to work. And like, of course, when you're scared, you know this, all of you know this about yourself. When you're most scared, it's only one of two things that are gonna happen. And so I don't sit here in an ivory tower delusional that everybody's hitting at an 11 of a 10. But I do sit here in my ivory tower knowing that I spend an ungodly amount of energy, time, and effort, and tons of money compared to companies that look like this on trying to get every situation to 11 of 10. And that's why we win. Because there's never an interest for us to look the other way, because we don't value the money, we value the culture. We need the money to pay the bills. Honey Empire, right? I got to be practical. This is not delusional school, but I'm feeling really confident. And I will tell you, every month that goes by, we've got it better and better and better. And that's really, especially the last 3 years, and that's really exciting to me.
Just to build on that, Gary, I think that was a nice reminder for me in the all hands the other day, when I think one of the questions was, how are we going to win? And I thought you were going to go right to SOC. You're like, people first. Like, oh shit, that's right. That's what we started with. So it's a good reminder for me too, personally as well.
Yeah, to your point, the reason it's people is if you have continuity, you win. I talk in like sign language and like ESP with like Marcus and Hannah and you and Kaylin, and like we go fast. Speed matters. You know, like when you trust your fellow employee, you're actually working on the work instead of the politics. So many of you have friends right now that you guys over a beer when you hang out, like they're just talking, all the energy's on the toxic fucking politics. Right? All of it. So yeah, I mean, I know why we're gonna win, and it's because of how I think about this.
What is probably like the most memorable or like the most important life experience you've had like in the last like recent years that have made you like really develop and grow as a person, with just like business wise, personally wise, in relation to anything?
Candor has forever been a weakness of mine and has always been the weakness of this organization. You know, I just don't like confrontation. Your gift is your curse. The reason we have this great culture is because I hate negativity and confrontation. The reason it took us a little while to get it really good is I love it so much that I mistreated it, and where candor really mattered, I was unable to deliver it. Thus, that trickled down to the organization. And so the biggest vulnerability this company had for years was the most senior people over time realized that they didn't actually know where they sat with me. And so what that did was, it was a very devastating day. No question, the most difficult day of my career happened about 4 years ago when I realized, so my number one thing is that my job is to eliminate fear as a leader. When I had to realize, looking myself in the mirror, that me not being candorous led to a lot of people not knowing where they stood, which actually created fear, was heartbreaking. And, I feel like now we're much better for it. And so I would say that is the answer.
I wanted to know, like, what's your perspective on why you think there's a divide between people who are pro metaverse and why like big tech companies like Snap and Apple and stuff are still like naysayers, or who don't believe fully, who don't give into the concept of the metaverse, and what's really causing this divide according to you? And
financial interest.
Okay.
Microsoft wasn't into the internet. Financial interest and timing. The metaverse, if we're talking metaverse, because this, the metaverse can mean a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. So if you're using the metaverse as slang for Web3, that's one thing, aka blockchains that have consumer applications like NFTs. If you're using the metaverse like VR, I believe that VR will happen one day, but I also think Facebook could overinvest in it because it might be too early. I don't like investing in things all the way until it's a little more obvious that it's real. Nobody here knows anybody who spends 2 hours a day on VR. So I think that, but I think to answer your question, it's all financial interest. And by the way, this is one day you'll realize what's cool about being 45 or 46 or 47, like I'm going to be in 4 days, is it's pattern recognition. Let me give you an example. You know how people say, like, why does that need to be an NFT? Can't you do it this way? Let me give you one that's going to blow all your minds. When I launched WineLibrary.com in 1997, which in itself is wild because there are many people here who were born after 1997. So when I launched WineLibrary.com in 1997, do you know what people said to me? They said, Gary, why do you need a website? You could just do a catalog. Think about that. Like, for real, like real business people, real grown-ups. Like, why would you build a website? You could just do a catalog. You know, why do I think tickets are going to be NFTs? Because they're better than QR codes. And why did all our tickets become QR codes? What was wrong with paper? So this is just pattern recognition for me.